Now let's talk about money. This election is awash with cash, that too on an unprecedented scale. The 2024 presidential race may be the costliest in US history, with a spending of about $16 billion. $16 billion. A large chunk of this is campaign spending, which involves costs for staffing, travel, media, merchandise, and some over-the-top ideas. From Kamala Harris's face plastered on the 366 feet tall Las Vegas sphere to Donald Trump's massive expenditure on social media influencers. Apart from campaign spending, conducting elections is an expensive business in itself. In the US, administrative costs run into billions of dollars. All of this together makes up the election economy. So where does it stand? How much money has been spent and where? Here's a report.
Elections are an expensive business anywhere in the world. But in the US, money plays a bigger role than it does in other countries. First, because campaigns are unusually long, there is no legal limit to the US campaign season. And secondly, because there is no legal limit to campaign spending either. Research shows that candidates who spend more money usually win. So political campaigns are getting more expensive in the US. In 2020, election spending totaled to $15.1 billion. In 2024, at least $15.9 billion have been spent. The 2024 presidential race is on track to be the costliest in the country's history, mostly thanks to the candidates, Democrat Kamala Harris and Republican Donald Trump. They have raised an extraordinary amount of money and spent it too. Democrats have outspent Republicans $5 billion to $4.1 billion. With billions of dollars to spend, campaigns have had a lot of decisions to make. Most of the focus has been on the swing states like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Nevada. These states are being inundated with political ads and door-to-door campaigns. But overall, campaign spending has been focused on 9 types of expenditures: administrative, consulting, digital, field, fundraising, media, polling, travel, and others. This includes money spent on selling merchandise. Trump merchandise worth $140 million has been sold. Meanwhile, Harris has sold items worth around $26 million. But remember, she entered the picture only a few months ago. Now, coming back to the list, consulting involved spending large sums of money to build giant databases to help answer questions like who will support the candidates and what messaging will reach them. Contacting potential donors was also an expensive affair, but media has been the biggest expense for both campaigns. Since March, the 2 presidential campaigns have spent $2.1 billion on advertising, out of which Harris alone has spent $1.1 billion, which is more than the GDP of 14 countries in the world. Harris and Trump also poured millions into social media influencers, who flooded conventions of both the parties. Harris and Trump splashed out on some other costly endeavors as well, like the giant projection of Kamala Harris's face on the Las Vegas sphere. It cost $450,000 a day for what is believed to be the first political ad to appear on the 516-foot wide and 366-foot tall attraction. Meanwhile, Trump booked expensive primetime spots during games which involved Pennsylvania's 2 professional NFL teams. But swanky presidential marketing ideas aside, it is not just the campaigns that make the election economy. It's also the cost of conducting an election. In the US, presidential elections are decentralized. City and county level administrations make sure that the election goes smoothly. So it is the state governments who are responsible for administration costs, which involve costs for staffing, technology, security, supplies, voter registration rolls. And according to research, it costs anywhere between $2 to $3 billion to conduct the US elections. So elections are expensive business. In the US, this year, they've been costlier than ever. And in a few hours, Americans will find out if they will suffer from buyer's remorse.
Washington is all set for a presidential battle like no other.
In less than 90 days, it's either going to be him or me sitting in the Oval Office.
Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump.
All we want is one simple thing: get out on Tuesday and go.
A vice president versus a former president. As we head towards election night, Vantage will be live from the heart of the action. Speaking to voters in this final stretch,
I'm still very undecided.
Very close presidential race.
tracking the campaigns as they make the last push. From exclusive ground reports to in-depth analysis, this is your one-stop destination for the presidential race. Join us on this special edition of Vantage, live from the White House in Washington, D.C.